So why have you chosen to live and serve as a pilgrim?
Well, that's interesting. I had been working, this experiment in Hawaii went for 2 years, and it became pretty clear what I had to share, that selfless service worked, that it was never dangerous, that you were never safer when you were actively loving somebody else, even if they were being aggressive towards you. And I knew that was an important thing to share in the world, that it wasn't just a coffee klatch theme, love your neighbor or love your enemy, that it worked. But I didn't know how to do it until I picked up a book by the Peace Pilgrim. She was also a Peace Pilgrim. But
you're talking about Cindy...
I still don't know her name. It could be her name. I know she walked the United States from 1953 to 1981 without possessions, just the clothes on her back, living in faith.
Not the most recent Peace Pilgrim, the one who's against the Iraqi war.
Yeah, I don't think you can really be a peace pilgrim by being against anything. If you're going to be anti-war, war is going to entrench itself and get stronger. You have to be pro-peace. And the woman whose book I read was pro-peace. And if anyone is interested, it's one of the more brilliant books I've read of the hundreds that I have. It's peacepilgrim.org. And it's a non-profit organization. They send the book for free in honor of her walk. And it's absolute genius, in my humble opinion. And as soon as I read that book, I knew this is how. Just because it's such an unusual way of life, as opposed to me saying, hey, I've got a neat idea. People say, what are you doing? And they ask me, and then we can have dialogue. Then we can share.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what are the similarities you have with this Peace Pilgrim you read about?
Many, many. She actually did walk against war, pro-peace, during several wars, during her almost 30-year walk. And I'm not anti-Iraq war. I am pro-peace and pro-love. And it's not a political thing with me. It is a person-to-person, each individual for their own life, you can find peace kind of thing. The similarities we have are the way we're walking, I guess. I'm not yet walking as purely as she did, meaning with no possessions. I still have a few things that I'm at every stop getting rid of more and more things. At some point I would be...
What's the hardest to get rid of?
What's the hardest to get rid of?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I couldn't drop right now, and I could, of course, but it seems not right to, is I do have a laptop computer, and I'm writing all this into several books.
Oh, don't feel bad. I met a Buddhist priest who lived in a cave in Thailand for several years, and he had a computer.
Right. I mean, if you're...
And then I explained to him how he can hook up to internet using satellite phone. It's like he's taking all these notes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not about what you own, it's what you do with it. And right now...
It's the intention, as you said.
I believe that wholeheartedly,
yes.
Literally. And so every day I'm writing when I'm not serving others, and with the intention that everything that I've learned and been blessed with would be in written form, to then leave everything behind, and then no matter what happened to me, it would be there.
Now, and I hope you're storing it on the internet, because if you're not, we can talk about it afterwards.
We'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay. But this book about the 30-year Peace Pilgrim, did this woman, was it an autobiography or somebody wrote about her?
She did not write, and I also have changed my name often when I travel, and I keep the information about my past limited, because she was very determined that it was not about her. She didn't want people to make a religion or a cult out of her, that it was about the message, and it was the fact that she's no different from anybody else, she's just making different choices. And so she did not write the book, but she had many, many thousands of intimate contacts with folks, and many of whom, once she did pass on, they formed this foundation after she had died, and compiled notes from her speeches and her pamphlets that she had written, and made this beautiful book.
Mm-hmm. So you were telling about the similarities and about the limited number of possessions you have, but you said you weren't as pure. Any other similarities or differences, for that matter?
I mean, it gets right down to the message, and I believe our message is the same. And she says it's really, really simple, and I believe it is really simple. We tend to make life really complicated on being happy and being content, and it is incredibly simple. It's all a matter, at least in concept, and that is, do good for others. Love those, especially those who are treating you the least nice or the least appropriately. Those are the ones that really need our love.
Do you find that people are hostile and angry at you because You're not materialistic.
I'm
You
not-
don't have a home. You don't have a paycheck.
I'm not that big of a threat, and people are
But you
hostile.
are a big guy.
I'm a big guy, and my message is very threatening to those who are clinging to getting what's theirs and having a relationship with balanced give and take. And I preach love that is giving-oriented and not taking it all. And people are threatened. I withdraw that. People whom I've encountered have tended to be a little threatened by the message. And some of them do respond with aggression, and that's fine. I'm not here
What
to-
are some of the things people have said to you?
They tell me that it's not applicable, that it won't work in any kind of setting where aggression is involved. And, you know, I have numerous personal experiences where it has worked. And in part of my message to folks, when blessed to present in a more formal setting, is talking about the psychology of why love works against aggression and the physics of why love works against aggression. And all of this harmonizes.
You want to talk a little bit about why love works against aggression?
I mean, we don't have much time, but generally it's relatively simple. People who are it revolves around the theory that people are not behaving in a vacuum. I've not met a single person born evil, and I can't think of a single example. And yet, people do evil things sometimes that are not nice or that cause pain. And they're doing them for a reason. And the reason they're doing them is to provoke a fear-based response. That's basic psychology. And so when you protect yourself, that's reasonable, and it's also fear-based. And it affirms their action. So even though you're protecting themselves and maybe refuting their aggression on the short term, on the long term, you're saying, you had an effect on me. You are powerful. Continue to be evil. Whereas when someone is coming towards you with an aggressive tone of voice or actually trying to assault you, and you come at them and say, I would really rather you did not make this mistake, and I have compassion for the pain you must be in and the confusion to be aggressive towards me right now. What can I do for you? I forgive you before you attack me, and I forgive you if you attack me again. It is such an irrational response, and it is coming with nothing from fear, but all from love, that the fear-based actor has one choice, and that is either to change and dampen their fear and their anger, or go find a victim somewhere else. And that's just, there's nothing mystical or spiritual about that at all. That's human
in
behavior.
therapeutic techniques, you learn surprise and shock. And
that's certainly shocking.
It's shocking, it's surprising, and what that does, it kind of opens neurological pathways to the brains. It opens consciousness, and people become aware of what they're doing.
And people, I've personally witnessed it, where people actually have awakened to the fact that they have a deeper good self within, that what they're doing is not right, and they calm down. And
Do you ever feel lonely?
no, I don't.
Why not?
No, I don't. Because there's 7 billion people on the planet, and they're all my family. And that sounds like a cliche, and what the weird thing is, when you start living that way, whether you're being a pilgrim or not, anybody can do this. When you really start choosing, turning this off for just a little bit, takes a quarter of a second, just take a deep breath, turn this on, and choose to look at a stranger or a home-free person or someone yelling at you or the person serving you coffee in Starbucks or wherever as your brother or sister, and treat them accordingly, that it really does open up a whole new way of living life, not just looking at it. And I'm never lonely. Even when I'm alone in nature, I'm there with the spirit. I'm there with the trees, and they're my brothers and sisters too.
So